Just waiting for this to go live. Bear with me for a few seconds. Yeah, looks like we're live. Good. So I'm back. As you guys can see, I'm on my laptop. It's probably a bit better quality. The last one, I think people enjoyed it from the sort of positive feedback I got on the stream. So thank you very much for that. 12th edition of Jet Goes Live. I know it's on a Sunday, which is, maybe not convenient for everyone, but, maybe everyone will probably get to watch it back later on or on, sort of the Monday. I'm very, very busy this week. I'm actually off from, sort of uni and stuff at the moment for a few days. So, yeah, I got to, kind of work on different stuff, and I'm very, very busy. So, yeah, apologies if it's inconvenient. I won't be talking too loud because me parents have kind of gone to sleep or getting ready to go to sleep, so I won't be talking too loud. So you might have to whack the volume on, the highest setting. There's a lot to talk about. I mean, this week, or sort of, maybe the week's gone, I guess. Since I've been away, there's been a lot of sort of action, and sorry, just the light is a bit of a nuisance. So just kind of fiddle with that. Hopefully it's a bit better. Yeah, I mean, sort of the week's action has been, there's been a lot of good action sort of in the last week or two that I've missed and haven't been able to cover, so my apologies for that. Also, there's been obviously the weekend's action, Gavin versus Eggington, Okogo versus Cunningham, Box Nation Bill. There's been a fair few fights. I'll cover them as best as I can. I haven't watched the full Box Nation card. I've watched, kind of just snippets of each fight, but we'll get around to doing a proper, sort of breakdown later in the week for you guys. I mean, I don't know where to start. I mean, let's kind of talk about yesterday's action. Even to everyone who's joining, and thanks for joining. We have a few people in here, so or as Bayloric in England would say, we have people in the room. So shout out to everyone in the room. Yeah. So I mean, Eggington versus Skeet. That was not the fight. Eggington versus Gavin. I mean, we'll talk from kind of the bottom of the card to the top. So we'll talk about Yafai. I mean, he got a blowout. He got a blowout. So we don't really learn anything from Yafai. I mean, the good news for Cal Yafai is he gets a world title fight December 10th in Manchester against Lewis Concepcion for the WBA super flyweight title. I think that's a winnable fight for Cal Yafai. I think he's a very, very, very good fighter. I will talk about the scoring this week again, Damien, mate. I might have a different opinion to some people, but yeah, as I said, Yafai is a very, very good fighter. Elite sort of fighter. For me, in terms of skills, he has very, very good skills. I watched Gossip's video on Paul Butler and the Box Nation card. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was, what he said about Paul Butler. Obviously, we're going to talk about it on the podcast Wednesday. I should be around. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Yafai loses to Butler, if I'm honest, but I think Yafai is a very, very good fighter in his own right. Sort of above the level he's fighting at. Definitely, I know he hasn't really fought anyone of note, to be fair, but he's looked. He's sort of rated quite highly by people I speak to. So let's see how kind of far he goes. I do fancy him to beat Concepcion, as Mikey puts out in the chat as well. So we'll wait and see, I guess, what Yafai turns up. Might be a sort of off-form Yafai, or, maybe he's been built up to be this, top fighter, but he's not. it will be we have to learn with we have to wait and sort of learn on the job with Yafai. I think he can stop Concepcion. Yes, I do think he can stop him. Concepcion obviously has been stopped twice by the same guy. I can't remember his name at this moment in time. Quite tired, so yeah, apologies if I sound slightly more tired than usual. But yeah, I think if I could get stoppage, probably mid to late rounds, probably late rounds, I'd say. I put a fairly sizable bet on Frankie Gavins. I'll talk about Frankie in a bit. Craig Cunningham, obviously, versus Sean Davis was on the card. People might not be familiar with him, but he was on the card against Paul Economides, I think his name is, the Welsh fighter. But yeah, he won that. Sean Davis was supposed to face Gamal Yafai, Cal Yafai's brother. But yeah, Sean Davis won that fight. Agogo, our favourite Agogo versus, Craig Cunningham. Craig Cunningham is a, he looked like a sort of guy who just beefed up to 160. You could tell in his physique he wasn't built for 160. And, I thought Agogo was going to do, not decent, but I thought he was going to win this fight, to be fair. But I won't sugarcoat it or anything. So very surprised Craig Cunningham, really took the fight to Agogo, and I think he outboxed him, he outmaneuvered him. Thanks, Kiwi, mate. I really, really appreciate that. Shout out to Kiwi 007. Big shout out to you, mate. Thanks for supporting the channel. Channel is continuing to grow, and we've got a lot more subscribers hop on board. So thanks to everyone on that as well. Good evening, Charlie. Hope you're well, mate. Yeah, I mean, Agogo. Let's talk about the scoring first. He was outgunned. He was outmaneuvered. He was outboxed, outclassed. Everything you could think of. Anthony Agogo, it happened to him. And I think I was talking to Gossip offline and a few other people, and shout out Ingram's cronies as well. Shout out you guys. But yeah, we were all talking about kind of how it was, and we said if Spike was in there with Agogo yesterday, Spike would have really, really, really damaged Agogo. Like he would have hurt him, like real bad. And I can't really be, more any nicer to Agogo if I tried. I mean, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and I don't know what to say on Agogo. It's wake me up before Agogo. I guess that's the line that we use on the podcast, and we all have a bit of a joke about it. But he was bad, and the scorecards having Agogo level or winning the fight. Like there's, that is bad. It was awful. It really was bad. I don't know. I don't know what Agogo really is playing at. To be honest, it's hey Juan, hope you're well, mate. But yeah, it's tough to see where Agogo goes from here. To be honest, where can he realistically? Where does he have a path? Where does he really? Go from here? Is a Spike fight viable? Would Spike really hurt him? I don't know. It's just, it's bad. I mean, Cunningham, fair play to him. He was the better man, and he just totally outfoxed Agogo. And even though he was a smaller man, but I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say on Agogo. I'm actually lost for words as to how bad he is. Spike O'Sullivan actually was talking to IFL TV, and he gave a pretty damn funny interview. He said this guy needs to go back to selling sandwiches, which I think he does, because Agogo, people at this moment in time, I think he could be the sort of level of a journeyman. I'll be honest, southern area, if that southern area maybe, but he looked that bad against Craig Cunningham, who's not much of a sort of English level fighter either. And yeah, he's just, I don't know. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are. Maybe I'm being really harsh on Anthony Ogogo, but I just think like he's so bad. I think he probably will become a journeyman unless the Sauerland brothers and Golden Boy and Sky don't just get him all these bum journeymen and get him easy fights, because that's how he's built up his record. And the first sort of half decent fight he's been in with, he's not only been outclassed in terms of boxing fundamentals, he's he's got the he's got the heart beaten out of him by a light puncher at a lower weight class. And let that just sink in, guys. And I think you may take into consideration what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I mean, it is bad. It is really bad. So that's all I'm going to say on Ogogo. Seems as since I've been talking about Ogogo, the view count has gone up. So maybe he's a popular figure. He's a cult figure amongst the boxing hardcore. But yeah, hi Tom CFC. Hope you're well, mate. Yeah, but as I said, I mean, it's tough to really, see where Gogo's going to go from here. But as I said, we'll probably talk about that more on the podcast. I feel like I've spent enough time on him. He's probably got a lot of airtime on the channel, so it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, okay, the main event now. We'll talk about the main event. I think, massive fight for Birmingham, at least, in terms of the welterweight division and these two guys' careers. It was it's a big fight for them. I mean, for me, it's I don't know what to say. I mean, it's tough, and I don't know where where either of these guys go. I mean, Frankie Gavin, he's lost to a guy who got thoroughly outclassed by Bradley Skeet. And yeah, I mean, it's tough to kind of see where, sort of, I don't know. I don't know where Frankie Gavin goes, to be honest. He said he wants a rematch, but yeah, I don't know. He said he's obviously moving down to 140 is an option. Rematch with Sam Eggington's an option. I don't think that a rematch with Sam Eggington is realistic, to be honest. I think he needs to move down to 140, and so Matthew Macklin was talking about he loves the burgers and a curry after he eats, after he trains. So I think when it comes down to it, he really needs to have a long, hard look for himself. Look at himself in the mirror and go, do I really want it? Do I really want it? And I think, even people are saying 140, I think Frankie Gavin can make 135. I'll be honest. And I really think he can make 135. I just think he's kidding himself, thinking he's a massive sort of, guy at the weight, or he's always been this super slickster and skillster at the weight. Skills and sort of, talent only get you so far sometimes. And I think he, determination and passion, he really needs to add that to his game. Otherwise, he's really going to struggle. And I think it's really tough. I mean, it's tough for me to see Frankie Gavin putting in that sort of work. I know, some people have obviously said, other sportsmen and that sort of stuff. Loads of people have done it in boxing and they could get themselves down. I mean, if you look at someone like, UK based, I guess, Kevin Mitchell done it, but he done it far too late. And I think when it came down towards the pivotal moment in his career against Jorge Linares, he was just had one too many tough wars and fights. He was trying to rely on a lot of sort of talent, and he was relying on just sheer talent, where he felt he didn't need to train as hard as he did, and he was living the party lifestyle, which Frankie Gavin does. So I mean, for me, it's tough to see, and I just don't think that Gavin, is gonna look any better at 140. As I said, there are some good guys at 140. Tyrone Nurse, Obviously Tommy Cole, John Wayne Hibbert, or they're having a fight. So it's, November 26th, if I'm correct. So that's another fight. O'Hara Davis has moved up to 140 recently. Ricky Burns is a world champion. So, would he beat those guys? Mikey's asking in the chat who would win, Gavin or Nurse. That's a 50-50, mate. I'm not going to make my mind up on that. But, both very skilled. It's, who wants it more? Nurse, lack of discipline in the ring more so than out. But, Gavin obviously could even make 140 because he missed the welterweight limit. So it is, it is what it is. I mean, Frankie Gavin should look back on his career and think, I've wasted a lot of time, energy, and talent. And I think loads of people would think, Frankie Gavin has, wasted a lot of his talent, just not turning up into fights in shape. Well, in the shape he should be, even if he came in at welterweight and he came in light, I could still understand. But he's missed weight and he just looks fleshy at the weight. He has no power, and then it's tough to see where Gavin goes. I'll be honest. So, and yeah, some guys in the chat, right? I put a sizable bet on Frankie Gavin and I lost. So yeah, thanks, Frankie. But no, Eggington, going on to him. I mean, Eggington, he did what he had to do, but it's hard for me. It's hard to see where he goes for me as well. I mean, there's someone on the undercard, Hara Davis versus Andreas Scarpa. That sort of opponent, Andreas Scarpa, is quite tall for 140. As it is, I think someone like that will probably give Eggington hell. Someone who could just box on the back foot, keep him on the outside, and just negate his entire game. And I think someone like Bradley Skeet, who done that, looked fantastic doing that. It is what it is. Sam Eggington is the sort of fighter. He is a sort of fighter that will come forward and he'll just give. He'll throw bombs and that sort of stuff. But that can only get you so far. I mean, he's 23. He can just sort of change his style. But can you see him progressing to sort of the European scene? Can someone like Leonard Bundu give him fits? He probably could, even at his advanced age. So yeah, I mean, we'll wait and see with Sam Eggington. But he's young. It is it is what it is. As I said, what you see is what you get, and you don't really get anything too dissimilar from a sort of brawler that is Sam Eggington. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that sort of scene, 147 or 140 domestically. Sam Eggington versus Frankie Gavin. Would you like to see a rematch? I wouldn't mind it. The fight wasn't bad itself, to be honest, but I mean, I can only see one one way in which that will go again. But as I said, I'm no Mystic Meg. Obviously, I've lost out on money, so yeah, can't really say much more on that. Nurse is good. I've already said I think he's decent, but as I said, no ceiling. I've said it in previous sort of live streams and videos. Nurse is good. I just don't want to put a sort of ceiling on him. I don't think you should put a ceiling on any boxer, but he's decent. Just lack of discipline in the ring. I think maybe Relic would win. I think would win that fight. I just think the Ricky Burns experience would be, it would stand him in good stead. And Nurse just likes to get involved in a brawl, not use his good skills. So I think Relic would probably win that fight. Yeah. I mean, moving on to the Box Nation, Bill. There is some news that I want to cover. I'm not going to go into massive amounts of details because I think everyone's kind of been following the boxing news, all the sort of fans that tune in, to the channel just regularly, and they've heard the news due to some big names and that sort of stuff. So, I mean, I'll talk about the Box Nation bill briefly. Yeah, I mean, that could happen. I mean, in terms of Gavin Eggington, but Definitely don't think it was fight of the year candidate, but yeah, it just I don't know. It's tough to see. It's tough to see that happening. I don't know. Gavin looks bad at 147, and he just looked even worse yesterday. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Yeah. I'm going to talk about Jamie Cox. I'm going to talk about obviously the guys who are in the Box Nation bill. I didn't watch Woodstock. I didn't watch that fight at all, so I'm not going to comment on that. Um, Paul Butler. I watched a bit of Paul Butler. I think many people will know my thoughts on Paul Butler. I think what I said on the podcast maybe got taken a bit too literally. That I dislike him for some reason. Just for all the hype that Paul Butler's got in his career, I just think he's a very, very basic boxer with limited adaptability in his game. And obviously, he's joined Joe Gallagher, who's renowned for having his fighters come forward, and maybe he'll end up like being like a Scotty Cardle type fighter with being less elusive or something like that. But it is what it is. I mean, what you see is what you get on. What you see is what you get with. Oh, I've lost it. Paul Butler. Sorry, it's just one of those days. Yeah, and Butler's decent, but at a certain level. I mean, as I said, I watched Gossip's video earlier on, and I just think that he said he would beat Haskins, he'd beat Stewie Hall. I think he would beat Stewie Hall. I think he'd beat Conlon. As I said, Conlon, I don't really, I don't think he's good at all. He's always in good fights, and entertaining fights, but complete lack of defense, and he just loves a tear up, and I think Butler would pick him off. Yafai, as I said, I think Yafai would beat Butler, but obviously they're campaigning at two different weights now, Superfly and bantamweight. Obviously, Butler's lost to Tete, so it's a bit tough. And as I said, I just don't think that. I just don't think that he's all that. I mean, as I said, for all the hype he gets, he's bog standard for me. So I don't know. I don't know what everyone's thoughts on Paul Butler are. I think maybe some people will enjoy his work. Some people might not like him. Some will think he's just he's decent at a certain level. So as I said, I don't know what everyone else thinks on Paul Butler. I think he's decent. He's not terrible, but he's not decent either. He's just there. McDonald absolutely schools him for me. Jamie McDonald was on another level to the sort of bantamweights and super bantamweights, in the sort of those two weight classes. And I think the only sort of guy that could give him that would be a competitive fight with McDonald at the moment is Carl Frampton. Obviously, Carl Frampton campaigns two weight classes above, super bantam, and he fights at featherweight. So and it is, McDonald's quite massive to be fair for the weight. He'd be substantially bigger than Carl Frampton, I think. So that would be a good fight. That's just a sort of fantasy matchup. But as I said, in and around those small weight classes, that'd probably be the only fight I'd say that's a competitive fight. I think McDonald versus Butler is a demolition job for McDonald. McDonald's not a concussive puncher or anything like that, but I think he would, he would do a number on Paul Butler. Frampton beats McDonald. Frampton is elite. After his last performance, he looked fantastic. So yeah, that is a fight I'd like to see. I don't think he'd beat him. I don't think he'd beat McDonald easy, but yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, Mikey and the others are just trolling as usual. Andrade versus Calce is a good fight. I mean, Calce could come in excellent shape and that sort of stuff, but I think Andrade has too much for him, way too much for him. I know it's out in Germany, but I think Andrade can outclass him and stop him late. Fantastic fighter, Andrade, and I think he could give one or two problems to someone like Golovkin, but he's quite big for 154 as well. I think he'll be moving up to 160, in the next 5 fights, I'd say. I mean, so obviously I've spoken about Paul Butler. Jamie Cox, I mean, someone said earlier, Jamie Cox looked quality. I disagree. I don't think he looked good. It's tough, man. Like Jamie Cox is obviously trying to make an impression and that sort of stuff, but yeah, I don't know. He kind of just, I don't know. He flattered to deceive, I guess. Yeah, I'd say that's probably the correct, the correct sort of phrase to attribute towards him. He's he's small he looks small for super middle. I think he's a middleweight, and he's obviously moved up from middleweight. He's obviously had his sort of problems outside the ring. I don't know what's been happening. I don't know what's been happening with the sort of promotional issues with Frank Warren and that sort of stuff. Obviously, he said, "I don't get up for these fights. I want to get up for the big fights and that sort of stuff." So, yeah, fair play to him. Obviously, making a few quid and that sort of stuff, but I just don't think he's this big banger. He's not faced anyone in his career. He was very, very dirty against Rios. Obviously, I haven't seen the full fight, but I saw some extended highlights, and I just think he's a bit, overrated by some of the boxing hardcore. I saw loads of comments that he would easily wipe out Callum Smith. He beat De Gale and Groves in the same night. I've seen it on some forums. So yeah, I don't know where people are seeing that. I can't, I couldn't disagree with that more. It's bad. It's bad. Lemieux won on points. I didn't know he was fighting this weekend. I thought it was next weekend, but yeah, fair play. Thought he would KO the guy, but yeah, fair play to him. Yeah, I was going to talk about Zlaticanin, obviously Frampton rematch with Leo Santa Cruz. Taylor versus Ryan. I mean, I think we spoke about it on the podcast. Obviously, it was on Friday. Andrew Selby fought. I'm pretty sure Andrew Selby won. I don't know how good he looked. I haven't watched the fight, but I did watch the Taylor Ryan fight, and Dave Ryan, very, very tough man. He's been around the block for a long, long time, and credit to him. But Josh Taylor, he battered him. He absolutely battered him, and yeah, he looks something really, really good. At 140, and I think he needs to, he needs to continue with this sort of opponent. The guy is at Commonwealth level. I mean, Dave Ryan fought for the he's been fighting at Commonwealth fringe Euro level just before the European level, and I think he's really, really, he looks something top notch. I'll be honest. I think he looks fantastic. I'll be honest, and yeah, let's see how far he goes. He's obviously with Shane McGuigan, and yeah, I think he's gonna improve. He's gonna go from strength to strength, especially with Carl Frampton in the gym, David Haye, George Groves. The sort of stable that Shane has is a very, very talented stable. He looks. So yeah, we won against Rotherham, very, very narrow win in sort of the 85th minute or so. But yeah, Rotherham sort of Route 1 football. I'll put it at that. We're not, we're not elite. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so I mean, I kind of covered the weekend's action now. We'll kind of just head into the news for the week. Evening, Tetley. Hope you're well, mate. We'll kind of head into the news. I mean, Parker versus Ruiz has been mandated by the WBO. 120 days for them to face the winner of for them to face the next in line, David Haye. I saw Webb versus Gospich, and yeah, Webb easy win there, mate. But I don't really keep up to date with the smaller fights. The bigger fights, I guess, or the more broadcast fights. I tend to keep up to date with them. Nick Webb's supposed to be a prospect. That's as far as I know, really. To be honest, he looks okay, not great, but not terrible either. Yeah, so I mean, Parker versus Ruiz. I expect Parker to win that fight. Obviously, some Ruiz is saying I rocked it, Parker in sparring bad and that sort of stuff. So I guess we'll see come fight night. But I think Parker, should win that fight relatively comfortably. And obviously, David Haye next in line. David Haye, I don't know how he's so high up in the sanctioning bodies, but it is what it is. When you're making money, so when you're like a box office attraction, and you're a massive name, and you draw money. David Haye is thing. David Haye will always be up high in the sanctioning bodies. So yeah. Yeah, I think Ruiz is certainly not fat. He is morbidly obese, to put it nicely. But yeah, I just think that's going to let him down, especially in the later rounds. And yeah, it's a bit embarrassing that he's had he has a good title shot. If you guys can give me one moment, I'm just got a phone call. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm back. Momentary lapse. I had a phone call. I'm back. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not. It's not. I've never been a Ruiz fan. I know. Obviously. It's tough to say. I just think his sort of. He's just conditioning. The same with Frankie Gavin. I mean, the conditioning is awful. I mean, professional athletes should not be. I'm supporting Parker. Don't worry, mate. You're not alone. I'm supporting Parker. But yeah, I mean, it's just you can't come into the ring like that. I mean, you know, Andrew Ruiz came in at 272, I think, or something like that. Yeah, Ruiz. I mean, he has good hand speed. Punch variety, I don't know because he's been facing sort of low end oppositions. He obviously looks better than what he is, but he's got good hand speed. I'll give him that. He's got good fast hands. But I just think everything he does, Parker does twice as well. So it's nothing personal. I just think Parker's an overall better fighter, and I think Parker will win that fight, relatively comfortably. But yeah, that's my opinion on that sort of fight. I mean, both of them lose to David Haye for me. David Haye's a dynamite puncher. Let's put it that way. He's he's an absolute dynamite puncher. He's got serious punching power, and he's very, very elusive. And people say, yeah, he can't take a punch. I disagree, I guess. that quite, yeah, you're spot on, Tetley, mate. Yeah, I mean, David Haye, he took some solid punches off Vladimir Klitschko, and I think people, are saying his chin's bad. Maybe he was cutting a lot of weight to make cruiserweight. Obviously, he was a big, strong, heavy cruiserweight. So yeah, I mean, David Haye versus Bellew, I think David Haye murders him as well. So yeah, I mean, David Haye is, he's a serious nightmare for anyone to face in the heavyweight division, regardless of if he's faced, Jar Jar Binks or Muscle Man Demori. So it doesn't matter who he faces because he's got the punching power and he's got the skills to beat the majority of heavyweights out there. Maybe not Klitschko, but many others. Very. It sounds like I'm probably a David Haye fanboy at the moment, which I'm certainly not. But yeah, David Haye has got serious skills and he's got serious punching power, and I think loads of people would, they before they criticize him for his fights, which have been awful, and he's been conning the public. Yes, but he does have it in him to beat these sort of top end opponents. I just don't know why he's not fighting them. He really does need to fight them. It's quite disappointing. On that note, Bellew is a he's an entertaining character. As I said, I don't have a problem with him. He's trying to make money for his family. Well done to him. But definitely value for money, Tony Bellew. So he's got great entertainment. Yeah. Some questions, obviously, about percentage chance of Hughie Fury. Probably a 40% chance, 35% chance, I'd say. Maybe at the moment, I just don't think he's got the experience at the moment. But neither has AJ, so they'd be raw. But probably 65-35 AJ, just about. But or 70-30. But that's a good fight. I think Hughie Fury could cause some serious problems though if he comes into the fight, how he's come in recently, I guess, in terms of 70% chance AJ, not Fury. It's not a 50-50 for me, because obviously AJ's been fighting at a higher level. I think you guys obviously said I've said that you guys think I've said that Fury's got a 70% chance. I think it's the other way around. I think 70% chance for AJ. So I'm just clearing that up if you guys have got confused. 70% chance for AJ, or maybe 65-35 AJ. But Fury is, I don't know. Fury is, as I said, if he comes into the fights how he's looked against not Cassie or anyone, because obviously he's been injured and that sort of stuff, I know. But he hasn't made any announcement for 10th December, but David Haye is a mystery. Let's put it that way. He's a myth at the moment. Him and fighting don't go together. I mean, we kind of discussed Frampton. Obviously, he's got a rematch, sort of in January time, I think, end of January, with Santa Cruz. I'm going to go with Frampton for that fight. Obviously, initial thoughts are with Frampton. I think he's a quality fighter. I mean, I knew he was good before, but I didn't know how good he was. And obviously, this move to featherweight has really, really done him well to good. He looked another level above Leo Santa Cruz, and I think Leo Santa Cruz looked very, very good. Even though I'll be honest, I had to fight a draw, but Carl Frampton, I can understand him winning. Santa Cruz, maybe not, but Frampton, I can understand winning. And as I said, like Santa Cruz and Frampton, that's a good fight, an excellent rematch, and one that I'm, thoroughly looking forward to. Probably be over in the States again. Dejan Zlatikanin versus Mikey Garcia, probably on the undercard as well, which is something they've kind of confirmed. So I'm looking forward to seeing that sort of card. I know it's a few months away now, but January will come. It'll come literally with the click of a finger. So we'll wait and see, I guess. Obviously, Christian Hamer fought. Everyone's talking about Christian Hamer. Hamer fought Tepper and obviously beat him on a split decision. Well done to Christian Hamer. Tepper, probably deserves that for being roided up and maybe potentially hurting people. So well done to Christian Hamer. And I mean, there's been a few other stuff. Roy Jones Jr. has discussed, saying, I don't want to retire just yet, so it's a bit of a shame. I do want him to retire. I just think he needs to, call it a day. He's done what he needs to do. He needs to just call it a day. Chavez Jr. said he's coming back into the ring, so we'll wait and see, I guess, what weight he can do. I mean, the Shane Mosley, he's talked about semi-retired. He'll come out for retirement for the right fight. Cotto versus Marquez, possibly. There's a few stuff in the pipeline, but that sort of minor stuff. it hasn't really kind of picked up. And obviously AJ Klitschko, the sort of negotiations have not seemingly fell through, but obviously Lucas Brown, WBA world title against Klitschko, that's kind of been put on BoxRec and that sort of stuff. So I don't think, and I think I've been vindicated saying that fight, I don't think it will happen. We'll probably learn tomorrow or Tuesday. That's the kind of feedback we're getting from Eddie Hearn about that fight. So about that, if the fight will happen, and I don't think it will happen. Possibly David Price, December 10th. I'm probably looking at that sort of fight. Him or Molina, or someone on that note. So yeah, uninspiring opponent for AJ, and yeah, I mean, you guys, people will go still watch it, but will everyone be happy to watch it? I don't think so. So yeah, I don't know. Can't really add more to that. We're just speculating, pretty much. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. I've been live for about 40 minutes. As I said, I don't want to go on and on and on. So yeah, I mean, it is sort of. I hope I've livened up your Sunday evening. I know I normally do it on the sort of Monday, Tuesday time, but very, very busy this week. I will get some sort of post-fight analysis for you guys if I can get it out, which I should be able to. And yeah, it is. It was good. It was good while it lasted. Appreciate it. Everyone, hit the thumbs up if you can. Get that thumbs up in. Keep subscribing, share, get it out. Just pump it out on all the social media, and we can get some more views, and get some more support on the channel as well. Keep wanting to grow, and yeah, take care, guys. Speak to you very, very soon. Peace.